In today's modern parenting, we are talking about co-parenting. Communicating with an ex-partner can be challenging, especially if you have a contentious relationship.
But successful co-parenting is possible, and our next guest says the key is to prioritize the children. Joining us now is Christina McGee. She's a divorce parenting expert. Perfect person to talk to. Christina, thanks for being here. So if someone is recently divorced or they've been co-parenting, what is the biggest thing to keep in mind? I mean, we just said the children, I guess, but what would you say?
Absolutely, which is always easier said than done. Like, there's a lot of simple strategies, but not so easy to implement. I think it's important to remember that balanced parents raise balanced kids. You know, so kids are going to be following our lead, and if we want our kids to get through this well, emotionally healthy and well-adjusted, then they're going to need grounded parents that are showing up in those really tough and challenging moments.
And divorce and separation happens for a lot of reasons. I imagine a divorced couple, they might encounter different parenting styles.
Oh, yeah.
How do you navigate that, communicate through that without letting it affect the child?
Well, I think you need to remember that different doesn't have to be devastating. Good co-parenting isn't about being in sync, you know, chapter and verse and doing everything alike. And the truth is there were probably differences when you were a couple, and those don't disappear when you get divorced. So keep that in mind, that differences aren't necessarily bad, and how we navigate them is going to make a big impact in how our children are able to navigate them.
We've got some tips on the screen there, how to handle when you have those disagreements, perspective and common ground. Talk a little bit about that.
So giving yourself some perspective. Again, we're going to circle back to this idea that there were probably differences before. And so you may want to ask yourself, you know, if we were still a couple, how might I feel about this? How would I handle this? And see how you may need to adjust your perspective on that. Also, with finding common ground, I recommend that parents go big before they go small. So what are some big overarching items that you can say yes to? So you want your kids to be respectful, you want them to feel loved, secure, have a connection to family.
Yeah.
And then once you identify those big issues, then you can talk about how you can individually support them as parents.
And to the point of just individuality, maybe you have some boundaries with your partner that you either have or need. How do you maintain those while also still trying to raise a shared child?
So I think you need to redefine your relationship. And a lot of times parents forget that this is really a business relationship, so you're no longer partners, but you're always parents. And so treat it like a business relationship, and the business at hand is raising happy and secure kids. And those same skills that you use in business relationships, where maybe you're working with somebody you don't like very much or you don't agree with, can really help you out. Yeah. So you want to stay focused on the task at hand. You want to, don't get personal. You want to be respectful.
So hard, so hard not to get personal.
Right?
What if a joint effort really just becomes impossible? Like, worst case scenario, what do you do if you just cannot see eye to eye?
Well, I think the most important thing to do is seek support. Like, don't try and go it alone. The truth is, the defining difference between families that get through this process well and those that don't is often information and support.
I love that. And then any big just like no-nos for people who are co-parenting out there? I remember witnessing it a bit growing up and seeing a lot of things.
Well, I would say steer clear of judging and criticizing the other parent. And again, so hard to do. But when we start vocalizing our disagreements or judgments or criticisms, kids start to filter what they share with us. So if every time Ethan mentions dad and mom goes off, and he gets an earful, he's going to stop talking about dad, and that leaves your kids in a situation where they're dealing with problems on their own.
Yeah, really good tips. Christina McGee, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
For us too. There's much more news ahead.
You're watching NBC News Daily.